Prime Minister Mark Carney bragging up this pipeline, and he's basically sticking the thumb in the eye of people who are against carbon taxes, which add to the cost of everything. He's basically saying, we are extracting all this extra carbon tax revenue on you by permitting you to build this pipeline.
This is a new approach that helps us reach our full potential, one that builds in partnership, the federal government, Alberta, British Columbia, partnership with territories, partnership with Indigenous peoples, partnership with the private sector. Indigenous peoples full partners in development, operating, and equity ownership. We've agreed, or at least I think that's what's in the submission that I may get momentarily, that the best route for a new pipeline is one that goes through one that already exists, south through the Trans Mountain Corridor to our Pacific coast, the gateway to the world's fastest growing markets. We've already agreed to reform carbon markets so they promote real emissions. We've already agreed to substantial methane reductions and to new measures, new incentives and reforms so that power markets can grow sustainably and affordably, and this being Alberta, significantly. The federal government will maintain the tanker ban to protect Canada's coastlines and precious habitats, and consistent with the MOU as a prerequisite for the pipeline, the Government of Canada, the Government of Alberta, and the Oil Sands Alliance, the 5 companies in the Oil Sands Alliance, have now agreed on the terms to launch the Pathways Project, the world's largest carbon capture and utilization and storage project, which together with other emission reduction commitments in the agreement will achieve 16 million tons of emissions reductions per year, or the equivalent of taking 90% of the cars in Alberta off the road. Critically, what we've agreed is that the time for action is now. We will refer a submission that I may receive, Alberta's West Coast Pipeline Project proposal immediately to the Major Projects Office. Consultations will begin immediately with Indigenous communities, relevant provinces, and territories to determine listing under the Building Canada Act by October 1st, as per our agreement.
We're not supposed to be building anything in partnership with the federal government. Like, we're not supposed to be building oil and gas projects in partnership with the Alberta government and the federal government. I don't know why we're normalizing this. And I can't believe our free enterprise, free market premier is standing in the background nodding her head. Yeah. Like she didn't build a career fighting this stuff.
You know, I'm interested in oil and gas. I'm interested in around the world. It's certainly part of politics. Look at Iran and the war there and how it's affected prices everywhere. It's been interesting watching Donald Trump turn on production everywhere from Alaska to the Gulf of America, as he now calls it. Nowhere else in the world do they say you'll only be able to do this if you have methane emissions and emissions reductions. And then he's talking about power markets. What's that got to do with anything here? And what he calls the Pathways Project, which is this huge carbon capture. I understand that all these costs alone are going to add $10 to $20 per barrel. It's just going to make it uneconomic. If you've got to pay for the pipeline itself, but if you've got to pay for all these goofy social license baubles that no customer, look, oil is made by the worst people in the world. Iran, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria,
Algeria,
Venezuela, like the worst, Qatar, the worst people. Sudan, literally blood oil. I once calculated, I know this sounds super gross, but people use the word blood oil. The amount of people killed in the massacres in Sudan divided into the barrels of oil produced over the same period of time, it's like a thimbleful of blood per barrel. They eat so much blood, and they have no trouble selling that oil. People bought oil from ISIS. You know, people are still buying oil from Vladimir Putin, their ghost fleet of tankers. No one is saying, there's a very fine barrel of oil, but I will not buy it unless it has just the little soupçon of carbon reduction. Like, no one is that. People say, I'll do anything for a barrel of oil. And by the way, I love the bad stuff because it sells, like why has Russia been so strong during its Ukraine war? Because it's selling everything it wants to India and China. They don't care. Frankly, if the West puts sanctions on it, it drives down the price for India and China. Anyhow, my big rant is to say, no one else in the world puts these burdens on oil companies, but I think this is just Stephen Gilboa in a suit.